On the walk there, she asks like a series of questions and like won't give it up. And then Jake is not answering them. He's just kind of ignoring them. But she's asking like,
which is normal for guys.
Which is totally normal for guys. I'm sorry, fellas, but it's true.
Welcome to the Beacon House Podcast, recorded live in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Guys, welcome to a special episode of the Beacon House Podcast, Book Club Edition.
Ooh, Beacon House Book Club. You guys heard us talking about this. Now's the day.
Today is the day, and we're doing Iain Reid's I'm Thinking of Ending Things.
Yes.
And I'm so excited.
Tell them who our special guest is.
We got Leslie Payne.
Hey, guys.
Oh, and it's going to be coming out around Valentine's Day.
That's right.
Which is 1 year anniversary.
The anniversary of the last episode we did with Leslie, where the audio got all messed up and you still sounded amazing and smart and perfect.
I completely forgot that was the Valentine's Day one. You're right.
Yeah, because I made a joke about love, and you were like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And Leslie is also a massive literary, I mean, you probably read, I feel like you read more than most people that I know. And like, you're such a fan of books. And I think this is just you are the perfect fourth component to the Beacon House Book Club.
I'm really excited about it.
Well, the first, after you finished reading it, we were working a shift together and you handed it to me and you're like, I finished this. And that whole night we just sat there and talked about the book. And I was like, I texted Spencer, I was like, Leslie has to be the fourth guest for this episode.
100%.
I was like, she's blown me away with these scenarios I didn't even think about.
I literally couldn't put it down. I started it at I think it started at 9:30 at night, like after I had gotten home from work and went for my run or whatever. And then could not put it down. And I had to be at work at 7 the next morning. And it was 3 when I finally finished it. But I could not stop reading.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely grabs you. It's got a vibe to it. Before let's talk about the book a little bit before we get into spoilers.
Yeah, give us a synopsis of the book, like whatever the back of the book says.
Oh yeah, I've got the book right here. As a matter of fact,
I think it's the inside pamphlet.
I will read in case anybody's wondering what I'm Thinking of Ending Things is about. We will get into that here briefly. Wait, I can't find it.
Maybe
edit.
We can find it.
Let's see here.
He's never going to edit that.
I will edit it, Casey, you little dick.
I think you should leave it in.
Yeah, now he has to leave it in.
I'm Thinking of Ending Things. This is from Wikipedia, the 2016 debut novel of Canadian writer Iain Reid. And for the people that want to Google that, that's Iain Reid. You guys should definitely check him out. It was first published in June 2016 in the United States by Simon & Schuster. The book has been described as a psychological thriller and horror fiction. I don't know if I would agree with that necessarily.
I don't think I would say horror fiction, but
I'd say there's a lot of horror in this.
You think so?
Well, that's true.
Especially the basement.
Especially the hallway.
The entire family abode is like the dinner scene from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You just don't see anyone get hacked up.
The farm when they were walking around the farm. That
is the dinner scene.
That made the hair on my fucking arm stand up.
Mm-hmm.
It's about an unnamed young woman who lets her boyfriend take her to see his parents on a remote farm, and the disturbing aftermath that follows. That's a pretty good ambiguous.
That's a really good. Yeah.
Did anything disturbing happen after the farm?
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of disturbing things happened.
Did anything disturbing happen in the book?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it did.
First of all, I want to say, starting off this book, I immediately noticed something weird going on when they were just riding in the car together. And she would say things like, it's a little cold outside. And then she would follow that up with there's really not a lot out here. And the boyfriend would ignore the first question and answer the second one. It was every time, if she was commenting on a feel, a sense, like a taste or touch or temperature or what have you. I know it's not an actual sense, but he would ignore that and just answer the other question.
See, I don't think that's weird, but it's because I'm a woman and I date men, and that is how you act.
That's a good answer.
So,
I feel like I answer questions well.
No, literally, you can ask any man a series of questions, and they will answer one of them. It doesn't matter. Be like, what's your name and what's your favorite color? And he'll be like, blue. And that's it.
All right, Blue. You're my boy, Blue. You're my boy.
You're my boy, Blue.
You're my boy.
Fucking, dude, that's true too.
My favorite color is red, by the way.
No, well.
Is it really?
I don't know. I was just not answering the first part.
That's weird for anybody to have that as their favorite color. So,
Red?
yeah.
All right, we'll get into that later. I don't know why that's weird.
I mean, this isn't a Rorschach test, but fucking, but this book. Let me give a little bit of background. This book was a gift to me by an ex-girlfriend, and weirdly, it kind of occurred right around near the end of the relationship. You know, I don't know if she was trying to tell me something. It's called "I'm Thinking of Ending Things," but fucking, I didn't read it for a long time because we had kind of a sudden breakup and it was weird, and I was just sort of like, I'm not reading that book that she liked. But she very much was exactly like you. She read it in one sitting. She goes, you'll read it in one night. I finally picked it up. I wanted something to read. I wanted something that was going to be exciting and kind of thrilling. And I was like, well, I started reading it and I got that same uncomfortable feeling. And I was like, oh, and I didn't read it in one sitting because I'm a really slow reader.
Yeah.
But I powered through in about like 2 days. And then the thing about this book that made me think about kind of making a little book club project about it, it actually has questions in the back.
I really like that about it.
Topics and questions for discussion. And we can look through some of these if you guys want. But I was like, man, it'd be cool to get together. Once I finished it, I was like, whoa.
How many questions are there?
I don't know. Here, you can take a look.
I read through some of them, and a lot of them are I think they did it intentionally to not give away any spoilers, because a lot of them are very ambiguous. Like,
that's true.
How did you feel about the girlfriend doing this? And it never really gives anything away.
Yeah, and there will be a point in this podcast where there's tons of spoilers. There is a huge twist to this whole story that kind of changes everything. And like, I had to go back and read it a second time.
How about what's the first question?
We'll see here.
I don't read out loud well, so
can we just say, like, if you want to read this book, stop listening to the podcast now and then come back and revisit this after you read it.
This is spoiler alert from the get-go, because if we don't talk about there's no talking about this book without talking about
spoiling
spoilers.
everything.
Yeah, because the big twist in the book kind of changes everything.
And you will not see it coming, because I did not.
Now, if you don't plan on reading this book, stick around, because this is going to get fucking weird.
Yeah, the very first question says, discuss the significance of the title. Why does Reid choose to call his novel "I'm Thinking of Ending Things"? I think that's kind of obvious.
Yeah.
But if you knew the thing, well, let's. I'll tell you what. Before we
Why
get
is
into
it obvious?
Well, let's go ahead and kind of reveal what happens in the story. Go ahead.
Me, Leslie.
Well, you could start.
What happens in the story?
I don't even know how to start dissecting this. Like, I've got a lot of to talk about, but I don't know where to begin.
So it's about a guy and a girl going on a trip to see his parents. And the entire time she's talking about how she's thinking about breaking up with them, and she's kind of having these like distant thoughts about when they first met and the first time they slept together, but also having like childhood memories of like weird happenings that happened to her about some man stalking her. And she's also
she's getting these phone calls.
Getting these weird phone calls that like
from her own number.
From her own number. They're very hateful and gross and
because
awful.
Remember, most of the time he doesn't say anything.
Yeah,
and
when
then
he starts talking.
But he doesn't ever say anything when she answers. He only leaves voicemails.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
okay.
And
that's
he'll
huge.
only leave a voicemail like every now and then. It's not like a consistent thing.
Yeah.
And it's always the exact same phrase every time. It never like deviates from a script that he leaves on the voicemail.
They finally get to the parents' house and they go like walking around the property. They find a pile of dead animals. And Jake doesn't seem to really care about that. He seems it's very normal that the dead animals are back there.
And Jake is the main narrator.
The boyfriend.
Yeah.
The boyfriend, yeah.
And they go inside and meet the parents. The parents are very strange. The mom's constantly changing her clothes. The dad's very... I don't know. The dad at one point is like talking to the girlfriend and is very like loving and understanding, but also very creepy.
Okay, this is the scene that I really wanted to talk about because I just had this thought like this morning.
Okay.
That game that they played where they like mock each other.
Oh my God, that is the most mind-boggling thing.
So I was thinking about the significance of that because he essentially is portraying these, because I mean, we find out later in the book that his parents are dead.
His parents are dead. Not only that, but the girlfriend doesn't exist.
Right.
And is part of like a persona
basically
of Jake.
Basically what kind of happens is they take this long drive and there's a lot of psychological back and forth about, just, there's a lot of internal monologue and stuff. She's thinking about breaking up with him, and she's observing him, things she likes about him, things she hates about him. She just watches the way he chews, everything like that, which very much like a really normal relationship would be under this kind of scrutiny. If you've ever been in a relationship that just didn't work, and the things about you either drive them crazy or vice versa, like the way you chew, the way where you put your toothbrush, just things irritate you about, So it sounds like just a couple that's about to break up. It doesn't seem like anything funny's going on. And then they eventually get to the farm, and it's snowing and it's cold and
weird.
And he doesn't want to go in, and he kind of takes her on a little tour outside, and there's a bunch of dead livestock. And she asks questions, and he won't really explain it. And they wind up inside, and then finally meets the parents, and
that's even weirder.
Yeah,
and they bounce.
Well, so a lot of things happen at the farmhouse.
Yeah, a lot of things.
So there's the Dairy Queen now.
Then they leave, and they stop at a Dairy Queen
because he wants to get something sweet, right?
He wants to get a Blizzard,
right?
And she can't have a. We'll get again.
Lactose intolerant.
Lactose intolerant, and then they both wind up getting the lemonade, or Yeah. Anyway, they want the Dairy Queen is significant because then they have cups they want to throw away.
Yeah.
And he tells her, I think there's a school around here somewhere. And
which his girlfriend is saying, why do we need to pull over and throw these away? There's no reason. We can just stop somewhere else. We don't need to make a special detour to throw these cups away.
Especially so far away.
Right.
It's
so
a
far
huge
away.
detour.
And the weather's getting worse. Cars may be sliding on the road a little bit. It's at night. It's snowing. All this stuff.
Casey's had a revelation.
I just had an epiphany.
What?
We'll circle back.
Get to the end about. So basically,
they stop at the school, and it's way out in the middle of nowhere. It looks abandoned. And then he gets out to go throw the cups away and kind of disappears for a little bit. She's sitting in the car, what the fuck am I doing here? And then, again, spoilers coming up. If you've not read the books, either stop now or, proceed without caution. Yeah. And then they go in the school, or
No. He comes back from throwing away the cups, and then he wants to, get a little bit physical.
Yeah.
And freaks out because, quote unquote, the janitor or someone in there is watching them.
Standing outside the car
So then he gets upset and goes inside to confront the janitor and disappears.
Right.
Leaves her in the car.
Which is similar to the person outside the window watching her when she was a kid.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Very sad.
And this cue is the creepiest, in my opinion, scene in the book, where she goes and looks into the school door windows.
Yeah.
And the janitor's
and sees the janitor
writhing around.
And crawling on the floor, which I have a really probably irrational fear of people crawling. It just really bothers me.
Good thing you weren't alive in '69.
So
Manson.
Yeah,
family.
that one got real far under my skin.
Yeah.
And then she gets in the school.
Yeah.
And then there's a revelation that
it's locked from the inside.
It's locked from the inside, but then there's a revelation that the girlfriend and Jake are the same person.
Yeah, after running
she
around, hides and runs around and finds that red paint on the floor.
Yep.
Yeah. And then
now this is the part where
she finds that there's a video camera,
which I still don't understand.
I don't necessarily either. And then she looks and the car is gone. And she's like, what? And then
well, she said, remember, how could he leave me? And I think that's very important.
Yes, I agree. And then
can we just throw out there, since the author is aware of the podcast now, if there's any way that you can come on here and you want to just do a deep dive, Skype or whatever,
please explain some things to me.
We'd love to have you. Anyways.
Or if we got anything right, just give us a thumbs up or something.
Tell us how wrong we are in the comments.
So
and for anybody that's still holding out for the big reveal, I do want to say this is going to be it's going to be a Netflix movie this year.
Yeah. Do we know when that's coming out?
2020.
2020.
Okay.
Jesse Plemons is playing Jake. Jessie Buckley from what was she in? Taboo. She's in Taboo.
And it's the
gonna
director
be the
of Eternal Sunshine.
The director is the writer from Eternal Sunshine.
Gotcha.
That seems like a good fit.
Yeah.
And Toni Collette's playing the mom.
I think that's a great fit for the mom.
Man.
Yeah.
The movie's gonna slay. It's hard not to make sure this thing slays.
With Netflix money, I'm sure it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah. And I hope that I hope they keep all the secrets just so.
I think they've already stopped filming. So
I actually feel like I will understand it better if I see it the movie.
I think so. I think having a visual to put along with it.
But I just had an epiphany about. So first of all, before we get into this, because it's going to be weird, what is everybody's thoughts about the story itself? What it represents?
A severely mentally ill person who is struggling with knowing what's real and what's fake and what's in his mind.
Yeah, and possibly is being, I don't know if I want to say victimized, but affected by isolation.
Right. Extremely affected by isolation. And that was written in the italicized things. You know, they said something about how, I don't know how someone can function with being alone like that all the time.
And all through, that's good. There are these italicized parts all through the book, which are you're seeing the people that finally found the crime. Have we said what the crime was yet?
Oh, right.
No,
You find out that they're the same person, and that maybe all the characters are the one guy.
Yeah.
And then this whole thing has been sort of just like a psychological manifestation of different people and different love affairs and stuff that never really happened.
All in this one guy's head.
All in this one guy's head, and he's like killing himself.
Yeah.
Right at the end, he like kills himself in this closet by putting, what is it? He stabs
a coat hanger
through his neck.
Through his neck.
And then all the italicized parts start to make sense. It's the people who found him and the people who are discussing him. Was he normal? Was he weird? Well, I don't know. He didn't talk a lot.
Well, you found a great thing that somebody mentioned on one of those forums about reading the italicized from the back of the book to the front, and they apparently make more sense.
Well, so the last sentence or something is in the italicized section. Apparently he wrote, like, he was writing all the time and writing a journal, and they found these journals. And the italicized section was, you know, be warned, this is disturbing, and I would recommend starting from the back and then circling. So then someone had mentioned in that forum, like, oh, maybe that's a clue. We should read this backwards.
Yeah.
And it does make sense. So
and that's how big this book is. Like, you've got forums of people talking about creative ways to read it, like back to front.
The one that I was on, I'm pretty sure the author himself had created for people to talk about.
Oh, wow.
So I have a feeling that Mr. Reid is just kind of like scrolling through this, just laughing at everybody because we're all getting it horribly wrong.
Well, and the first time I experienced it, I read the book. And then I recommended it to Casey, who was taking a trip, so he got the audiobook. And then,
I got the book and then got the audiobook.
Oh,
I was like, this would be much better to listen to.
Well, my second pass, I did it on audiobook just to kind of get kind of a fresh perspective and kind of hear it acted out. I like hearing the inflection and good voice actors and stuff like that. So,
which, by the way, the audiobook, whoever read it, she slayed it.
She did good.
Great.
Yeah. But man, so okay, let's get into it. Like, what now that it's all out there on the table? The guy, it turns out it was just the one guy all the time. When you finally read that, I mean, I was just like, what the? All the other scenes just came rushing through my mind.
Yeah.
In the car, in the Dairy Queen, in the house. Like, he was alone.
Yeah.
See, I think the book is about a guy who is he's in a descent into madness or becoming a psychopath. Like, he's in that descent, and the girlfriend is his subconscious or his moral compass trying to, like, don't do it. Like, giving him reasons, but the subconscious is also trying to find reasons why to just let him go.
Right.
However, the epiphany I just had is the detour to the school is that descent into madness, and that's where it all lets go.
Where Jake made the final decision.
Made the final decision and was like, fuck you, I'm going down this dark road, I'm taking this long road down, and we're doing this. This is the end.
Part of his psyche trying to talk him out of it.
Yeah.
See, I can't even barely.
That's brilliant.
I can't even barely begin to imagine all the symbolism.
Right.
Like I felt like when he first gets out of the car at the school, and he's standing. She sees, oh, he's found a trash can, and he like lifts the lid. He just kind of looks, puts it down, and then disappears around the corner of the school. That was so fucking scary to me.
Yeah.
Just the idea that, like, this girl who's already scared and it's a weird night, and like her boyfriend just disappears around this bizarre building.
Wasn't that trash can full of something?
It was full of salt, like road salt, because it was icy.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think honestly, the first disturbing thing that truly stuck out with me was when they show up after the car ride to his parents' house finally, and then he doesn't want to go in right away, which she doesn't understand. And then they walk around and kind of see the sheep farm, and then there's 2 dead ones stacked up. Yeah. And then they go to the pig farm, or the pig pen where the pigs used to be. They don't have them anymore.
Oh, and there's this chilling thing about the pigs. Go on.
But on the walk there, she asks like a series of questions and like won't give it up. And then Jake, the persona of Jake, is not answering them. He's just kind of ignoring them. But she's asking like,
which is normal for guys.
Right, which is totally normal for guys. I'm sorry, fellas, but it's true. But she's asking these series of questions of like, what happens to these sheep? Do they just sit there? Like, who takes care of them? Do they get buried? Like, and she was just persistent and ongoing about what happens to these things after they die. And I think that's a really big thing because
Like,
It's huge.
His subconscious trying to like get.
if
a hold
I
of him.
kill myself,
what's gonna
happen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. He's contemplating it.
Yeah.
And could it be that he doesn't want to go inside and she does because she knows that the thoughts of like a loving family
Right.
will bring him out of this like pit,
Right.
and he's like, I don't want to do that yet.
That was
I don't want to
actually
think about them yet.
That was actually one of my notes here.
Yeah.
It says, "What's up with the stacked up lamb carcasses? Did Jake recently kill them?" When she asks what will happen to them, he doesn't answer. Is this because he knows that he will soon be dead?
Yeah.
Well, I also think that like with the whole descent into man, I think this guy is becoming a serial killer. Like his isolation, his slaughtering of innocent animals.
Well, here's the thing also is like he was talking about the pigs and how they got sick and they were just laying there and then maggots started eating them from the inside out.
Yeah.
And I think that was also like fear projecting himself of like, if I kill myself, I'm so alone. I'm just going to lay here. Are maggots going to eat me?
Yeah,
From
and
the inside out? Like,
And she says here, that was another thing. That was my next thing. When she's talking about the pigs, she says things have to be put out of their misery. But she also says, what if the suffering doesn't end with death?
yes, that was, see, that gave me chills just then. Ugh. Yeah.
So this guy's thinking, obviously he's tormented by something.
Right. Yeah.
Like, so I don't necessarily think he's becoming a psychopath or a sociopath. I think he's just like,
I think he's tormented with the idea of like, because
well, he's got something.
he has a darkness in him.
Right, and he
And
does,
it's-
but I
and
don't
it's
think
not-
that's necessarily like that killer instinct.
I don't know, because if he killed those animals, like that's what they say the first step toward becoming a serial killer.
Yeah, but
is
he
just
didn't mutilate them.
Well, it's not mutilating; it's just murdering innocent animals for no
Right.
reason, like without using the meat or the fur for anything. And if he just slaughtered these sheep and this livestock for no reason, it could be like him getting the taste of it.
I mean, at this point, we don't even know if the sheep were real. So.
That's true.
See,
Well, and
that's true.
But I feel like
Yeah.
the janitor at the end was so creepy and weird that it's like that has to be some sort of evil.
Right.
It can't just be a psychological representation of just suicide. It has to be some sort of evil that was bubbling up inside him.
Well,
and he was putting an end to it before it came out.
Right.
That all makes really good sense.
Especially with
does.
the basement.
And you
the
can
basement
clearly tell
really pushed
Yeah,
that.
the basement did push that.
You could clearly tell that he was not 100% just dying to commit suicide. You could tell he was scared.
Right.
And he wanted to end this.
I mean, as any human would be, that's our
Right.
instinct to stay alive.
Yeah, yeah. So he's thinking about what if the suffering doesn't end after death.
Yeah.
So he's kicking those concepts around. But I don't know. And again, like you said, we don't even know if the animals were real.
Yeah.
So it's hard to tell how much of this stuff is really tangible.
Unless maybe the
Like, do you guys think the whole thing occurred in his head? Like, was he in the
I
school
think
the whole time?
No, I think he actually went to the house.
See, I think so too. I feel
Yeah.
like the car ride was real. I feel like all the things were real. He was just by himself.
He was going through the motions, and yeah,
what if the sheep were representations of like innocent lives he's already taken, like leading lambs to the slaughter kind of thing?
I still think that's
Maybe.
I know
diving too
it's-
deep. Yeah.
Has anyone considered that the entire story is about
I forgot
a
you were even
suicidal
here.
descent into madness caused by someone who was isolated and unable to talk about being molested as a child?
I mean, maybe in the parents. Do you think there's an abusive thing with the parents?
With the parents.
Do you
I
think
mean, I'm not sure,
Do you
but
think the mom did it?
There's the thing with the girlfriend who was watched as a kid through the window, and he had the
Right.
same reaction to the evil, weird, writhing janitor at the school when they were about to have sex. So he equates sex with being viewed, and it makes him angry and uncomfortable. And that's when he went into the building and isolated himself and
You
stabbed
are
himself.
so right.
Holy shit!
Holy shit.
You're so fucking smart. I can't believe the way I talk to you usually.
What did you do? Did you read that whole book while we were just talking?
No, I had that
I-
thought as soon as the janitor showed up when I read it the
Fuck,
first
you
time,
were-
but I've been holding it for the podcast.
You were sitting over there getting ready to drop that intellectual landmine on us.
Well,
Fuck, say more about it.
We need the fucking author to come in and tell us if we're right or not. But no, I think everything we saw was real. Obviously, when you read the book, you know what's in his psyche and what isn't, as far as the things that are confirmed, like the parents were dead, the girlfriend wasn't real, yada yada yada. But I think he was with his friends when he met the girl or whatever, and maybe that was the last good time he had as an adult or whatever. And maybe that time was when his parents died or something like that, just of natural causes, because they were older, and he went back to try and take care of things, and his brain broke, and he wasn't able to sustain it, so the animals all died, and all he knew to do was drag them across the place and just stack them on each other and hope for the best.
I kind of got that impression. But there was also some clues apparently in the pictures that they found in the basement. So, I think that out of all the different characters in the book, I kind of felt like those are maybe all, and this is pretty simplistic now that I've heard his fucking explanation, but I feel like those are all dimensions of him that he was wrestling with.
Well, I think...
But the janitor was actually maybe the reality. Like he had become that janitor in real life.
Well, they say the italicized sections clearly say like he was the janitor at the school. So I think that was like
the real one.
The real one.
And I wonder if the driving lessons part where it was like...
that was like...
I wonder if, like, because he had the keychain that said J for Jake, but his name was Doug, correct?
Yes.
I wonder if that was symbolism for Jake taking the wheel in his brain.
Here's the thing, though,
like
is
Jake taking over.
I think the girlfriend's story about Doug is the same person as... I think the janitor is Doug. Mm-hmm. And I think Jake is another one of his personalities as well as the girlfriend.
That's really smart.
Yeah. So I think Doug is the janitor, and that whole story was about something that had happened to him.
Maybe the driving instructor molested him.
Maybe.
He has. I wrote here the driving instructor Doug has a keychain with a J on it. Like, is he also Jake, or is it supposed to, is he
or Jesus take the wheel? You know.
No, I think that's definitely
now.
But
here's
was it
the thing:
a weird sexual experience that he had? Because you remember when they lean back in the car, there's a hint that they would have kissed.
Yes.
But then later she says she just read the fortune or something to him. That whole thing was weird. Like why?
Yeah.
I was like, after the ending, I was like, why the fuck are these imaginary like characters like her having like flashbacks of...
Well, okay, so remember Jake's reaction to that story, because he doesn't even let her finish it. He just says, oh my God, that's so unlike you. Like, I can't believe you would do something like that. Like, immediately jumps to the conclusion that when she leaned her head through the window, that they kissed. Yeah. And then she continues to say, but he never let me finish. What actually happened was I read him the fortune, blah, 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 blah.
Weird.
So I
really feel like the girl from Dairy Queen.
That is another one of his personas, I'm telling you.
Well, it's a persona. I really think it's body dysmorphia.
Maybe.
Like, I really think, like, he talked about, like, the way he described her was, like, scars or, like, these, I can't remember what it was, but he described her in a way that made you think, like, body dysmorphia.
Okay, but remember also in the italicized sections, it said that before the janitor or Doug or whatever his name is killed himself, he started to display like physical signs of distress, and he was breaking out in a rash and all these other like,
which is something the mom was doing, right?
Yeah.
So all of his dimensional characters had like headaches. And rashes.
And the smell of varnish.
Yeah, smell of varnish from the school. And they had like Band-Aids on their forehead and stuff. You know, like they were all displaying, I guess, wounds.
Right. It was the father, right, that had the Band-Aid on his forehead and then came back and had two.
Yeah.
Hunter, did you find the pictures?
I did. It's described twice. So
what does it say there about that? So they go down into the basement at this house, or she does rather.
Right.
She goes to the bathroom by herself.
They finish eating or whatever, and they don't have anything lactose intolerant. I don't know if that's significant, but I feel like it is.
Maybe.
Because she was like, I can't believe Jake would forget to tell them.
I wonder if the parents were very neglectful and always just didn't care that the kid was lactose intolerant.
Right.
Well, I think the paintings are going to speak to that.
Oh, okay.
So then she goes to the bathroom and she goes down to the basement.
And do you catch the part where she goes to the bathroom and she for some reason leaves her slippers outside the door? And then she comes back out and they're facing the opposite direction.
And she makes a comment about how she feels like there's something standing outside the door,
Listening
and then
to
she
her.
opens it real fast and there's no one there.
Yeah.
But her slippers are facing, like
They've
you said,
been
the
turned
opposite
up.
way.
So
The
she
thing-
decides to go. She feels like they're off washing dishes. She decides to go down to the basement.
And she finds these paintings. I'm just going to read them because they're short paragraphs. There's 2 paragraphs I have to read.
I'm so looking
But
forward
it
to
kind
this.
of... The thing about them is it brought to mind, again, the potential molestation, falling apart mental thing. It also brings to mind the neglect thing. So it's going to give us more to dissect. Where is it? The first one. Okay, right here. It's a portrait of a space, a room. It might be this room, this basement. It's dark, the painting, but I can see the stairs, the concrete slab, the shelves. The only thing that's missing is the furnace. In its place is a woman, or maybe a man. It's an entity, an individual with long hair, standing slightly bent over with long arms, long fingernails, almost like claws. They aren't growing longer or sharper, but they look like they are. At the bottom corner of the painting, there's a second person, maybe a child. The next time she kind of rifles around the room a little bit and then finds some stuff, she goes, there's a small dirty bookcase beside the painting. It's full of old papers. Pages and pages, drawings. I pick one up. The paper is thick and another. They're all of this room. They're all of the basement, and in each drawing, there's a different person in place of the furnace, some with short hair, some with long. One has horns, some have breasts, some penises, some both. All have long nails and a similar knowing, paralyzed expression. In each picture, there's the child, too, usually in the corner. Sometimes in other places, on the ground, looking up at the larger figure, and one, the child is in the stomach of the woman. In another, the woman has 2 heads, and one of the heads is the child's.
So that...
The mom's doing it to him.
That's what it sounds
So
like.
do you think that they're like...
But is it, again, is it neglect? Is it molestation? Is it direct abuse? Like, that's the...
Or all the above.
I think of the description of a lot of those pictures kind of espouses the emergence of multiple personalities. So you see that, but also something threatening the child.
Yeah.
So, and it wasn't the basement... Didn't
The basement was short roofed and real
Yeah.
dark.
locked
All right.
from in the inside.
And it was locked from the inside, too.
Here's my theory on the locked from the inside and the scratches on the inside. But also, I wonder if the mom had multiple personality disorder and he genetically got it as well,
Right.
which is
Possible.
where all these like all these personalities. I feel like the basement is a representation of when you have to like put something away or lock something inside your own mind and push it down and forget about it, but it comes back and it's still nagging. That's you locking that in the basement, and it's only you that can lock it in there for yourself.
So the basement could have been totally metaphorical.
Yeah.
Maybe. And then I
Locked
think
from the
like
inside,
and then
like-
the scratching is that gnawing. When everyone says like you have that gnawing in the back of your head, that thing is still there. You've locked it away, but it's still there gnawing at you. And I wonder if he, for the longest time, took this incident that happened to him and put it as, since it was a child and those are child paintings, as a child it happened to him, and he tucked it away and locked it himself in the basement.
Which is common.
And all throughout his life, it was just scratching and
Yeah.
scratching. And now it's busted out because when she finds the basement, the door's already wide open with
So
scratches.
it could have been abuse by the mom, and he locked it away, and the basement signifies that.
And but yeah, like you said, that's a good point that the door was wide open when she found it. It wasn't locked. So
Right.
he had already opened it.
And it
There's
already got
also
out.
there's
Yeah.
also possible, and God, I want the author to talk to us so we could figure it, because the absence of a furnace in this dark, cold basement that's replaced by another entity that's constantly scary and changing, but sometimes looks like the mom and other things. Like, there's the first thing that I'm thinking of right now, and again, it's one of a billion things that could mean, but like, is the furnace is a source of light and warmth, and in the paintings, the light and warmth is this monster that's clearly fucking with the kid.
Right.
Instead, like,
Well, remember how it says like the mother is always smiling like all the time?
Right.
Which I think in the movie, I can't wait for that because I have a feeling that's going to be really creepy. It
Tony
just-
Collette's going to shred.
I feel like the changing of clothes is the changing of her personality too.
Yeah,
like I
that's
feel
a
like
good
she
point.
had a disorder, and maybe one of those personalities was very not kind to him, and she would always snap out of it and apologize to him and be like, "It wasn't me that was doing that to you. It was this other person that's not me," and he didn't realize that it was multiple personality disorder, and so that's
And
why
they
he drew it
talk.
with two heads.
They talk about the mom. They say, she's not as bad. She's not as crazy as they think. They talk about her like she's been a problem.
Yeah.
in the
So,
past.
do you think that there is any significance to that game that they were playing at the dinner table? Because I was thinking about it, and remember the girlfriend impersonates Jake, and she does it to a T. Like, nails the voice, nails his personality, nails, like, how he talks, his mannerisms, whatever. And then, the parents just crack up and laugh and laugh and laugh. And I wonder if that's, like, a key to their abuse of him, and also, like, the girlfriend. That's your first clue of like the girlfriend and Jake are the same because
ooh, that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. And I also feel like, because doesn't he try to attempt to make fun of her?
he does. He attempts to, but he
Yeah.
he doesn't do very much of it.
So
doesn't
that
he?
also makes me feel like that is her, because you can figure out what
No,
your
no, no, no.
conscience is.
No, he doesn't attempt because remember, while they're at dinner, she gets very uncomfortable because he's not saying anything at all. He won't even make eye contact with
Okay.
her. Remember, like he won't say anything at all until after dinner is over and they're in the car and he starts talking to her again.
And she's the voice of reason, as we
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
he
I think
doesn't want to
she's the moral
expose her to
compass.
everything.
Yeah.
He's afraid of letting her in, but he's taking her because he's trying to get her to stop him.
And
So-
remember, when they're about to leave the house, the mother grabs onto the girlfriend and is like, please don't go. Like, please stay the night. Why don't you stay here? Like, we really want you to stay. We have plenty of room. Please don't go. I'm worried about you.
I thought the Dairy Queen girl said, "I'm worried about you."
I think the mother said it too. I could be wrong, but I
and
think
then
she did.
After they, before we get to after the farmhouse, like, remember the one thing also in the farmhouse is she sees a picture
Oh, she goes up to Jake's bedroom.
And there's a picture, and she goes, "Who is that?" And he goes, "That's me. Don't you recognize me?" And she goes, and she looks, and it looks like her.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a young Jake, but it looks like a girl, and it's her. And like, so you're starting to get, and when she goes in the bathroom, she opens the medicine cabinet. There's an empty medicine bottle, which could be significant.
Right.
Like he ran out of medicine. Ran out of medicine and didn't re-up.
I wonder if the farmhouse isn't real, and that's like his parents were still alive, and he just came back for a visit, and that's what he's remembering. And he's like putting this like psychosis to it. And when he leaves, she's like, "Don't leave," because she knows that that's the night he's going to do it. Like she can see it on his face that that's the night he's going to kill himself, and she's not going to see him again. That's
actually a good point. Does the house represent the different sections of his memory that he's like locked away in different rooms, like a house?
Ooh.
You know?
See, so much of this could be not literal,
right.
And it would still make sense.
Yeah.
So it's hard to know. You almost have to kind of interpret it, you know, but like all the conversations that happen, I made a note when I was reading this, I would stop and make notes. But if the family wasn't real, and it obviously wasn't, I guess, all the conversations they had in that house are crazy.
Yeah.
How like
the mom and dad
chilling.
were fighting?
Yeah, the mom and dad were arguing because when she was in the basement, she could hear them arguing from upstairs.
Did they say what they were saying? Or she tried to get up to the vent to hear?
She got up to the vent to hear, and she could only make out snippets of it, but it was like, you know, "I'm worried about you," or "I'm worried about Jake," or, you know, the son, talking about how he never gets out and things like that.
I wonder if they're still alive. And
I feel like in the italicized parts, it said that they had died.
Yeah, it does in the italicized part say that they had died.
I wonder in the book, whenever he goes to visit the house, if that's the last memory he remembers of them. And
actually,
it's like the last time he saw his mother was like, "Please
I was wondering
don't
about
go."
that too.
Now that you just said that, Spencer, I actually do remember in the italicized parts, there's also a section where it does say that he was living in his parents' old house still.
Yeah.
So I think the house is physical.
Okay.
And then like after the farmhouse in the car, he starts talking about his brother.
Yeah, about how
he went crazy and he was a real he basically describes himself like he was a real smart guy, but then he started having this weird anxiety and he couldn't be like, you know, around people anymore, and he like wound up taking a job as a janitor at a school or something. And
which the brother was just him
reflecting.
Well, yeah, reflecting, but also deflecting. That's not me. That's not who I am. Like that's my brother. That's my brother. Yeah.
And then they go to Dairy Queen and the drinks. You know, he wants to get something with ice cream, and he goes, "They probably got something in there that's like lactose free. I'm sure you can get something." And then they both wind up getting that.
Yeah.
Because he's her, and they're both lactose intolerant. God, dude.
Uh-huh.
I just want to know if the girls making fun of the other girl were real,
I
or
think
if that's like him being made fun of, or is Jake not even real, and the person that kills themselves is the girlfriend, and she's the...
No, I think Jake's definitely real. I think Jake and Doug... let me take that. I don't think Jake is real. I think Doug is real. Doug the janitor. Do not think Jake is real, but...
Because the girlfriend's the only one narrating.
I think Jake is who Doug wishes he could be. The one who is more confident enough to give the girl his number, the one with, you know... I think that's who he wants to be.
Oh, and he met maybe a girl.
He did meet that girl. He went to the bar, he met the girl, and then it says that he was in the... I can't remember if it was in the italicized or not.
When she went back, she was like, "He put his number in my purse because he was too shy to talk to me."
Yeah.
When that never even happened.
He
was just too shy to talk to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think Jake is who Doug wants to be.
Yeah. Okay, I got it. And maybe
Where did the girl from Dairy Queen come from? Because those bitches were mean as shit.
Well, there was two that were mean and one that was like sympathetic. That was obviously
but
another
the one
person.
that was sympathetic was the one that had the rash and looked
and
like...
that's, I think, was definitely the persona. But I think those two other girls were definitely real. And I think that Doug just kind of looked like a freak.
Yeah.
You know, like he was... His... like inner turmoil was being reflected on the outside. And I think those were just two mean high school girls. You know?
Yeah. I agree with that too. That it started to kind of make more sense hearing other people flesh it out. So, do you think the girl, the narrator, do you think she was actually a girl? Well, no, I think she was a real girl from.
She was a real girl, and then
do you think
romanticized in his mind, and turned into a persona.
Do you think that she actually did take driving lessons from Doug? Way back in the day?
No,
like
I think they met at trivia night.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's
then I think her memory of that, quote unquote, was just something that he had locked away and then, made up.
I'll tell you what, I will let me go back through some of these real quick. I will once you read the whole thing, and it kind of culminates to this thing where he basically it all winds up in the school and kills himself. And the first thing you want to do is go back and look at, oh my God. So when she was talking to him, it was not real. But these are some of the notes I made about things on the second pass, that little clues that were hidden in there that just went flying by the first pass. And then the second pass, you go, holy shit. For one, when they're in the car ride near the beginning of the book, she says, the narrator says, I can't remember the last car trip I took. And then she says, talking about, she says, it's a no mirrors kind of day for me.
Right. Yeah, I remember that.
She doesn't want to be around mirrors or anything like that. She talks about remembering the first time they had sex, but they only remove like one set of clothes. So she says they took off her shirt, his pants. And
they only used hands. Remember, she specifically said they only used hands. Yeah.
Yes. And then they keep talking.
I get it.
All these conversations go on, and Jake at some point says all memory is basically fiction and heavily edited.
Yeah. And she gets really mad about that, remember?
Yes.
She's like, what are you talking about?
Do we remember the similarity between Jake's room where the photographs are found and the room the girl wishes she was in when she's sitting on the floor in the gym freaking out at the end of the book?
I don't.
But
they're exactly the same, but Jake's room, like the furniture is the same, the blue chair, the bookshelf, the pens and notepads and all that. She has the same stuff, but she's got blue shoes that she wears like slippers, and his has a few books and things like that. Hers is real nice, and it's filled with books, but it's the same place, but one is empty and falling apart. The other, that was
I
a
really
note.
think she's like
his idealized,
his conscience.
Yeah.
His moral compass, his thing that his conscience, his moral compass, his thing that like pulls him back, pulls him to not do awful things, like hurt himself. Don't think about that thing that happened to you when
But
you were
I
a
also
child.
think that a very large part of it was him creating her to form some sort of companionship and feel something, because he is so isolated and he is so alone, and it's slowly, killing him.
Yeah.
And I think he created that in sort of a survival
kind of
mechanism.
manifested his subconscious.
Yeah, but like in almost kind of like a survival mechanism thing. Like, I'm going to create something so I have someone to be with.
I think that's what the envelope in the room with the photographs is called, Us.
Yeah.
And it's got like 30 close-up shots of different body parts.
Yeah.
Fucking
What
crazy.
about the videotape?
I was okay, but I think we just easily walk, because that one's still one I don't understand. But let's like easily walk ourselves. So we're leaving the farmhouse, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and we visited the Dairy Queen, and now
At the school.
Jake's throwing away the cups, and then so he
Which,
goes.
by the way, later when she gets out of the car, she goes and looks in the trash cans, and she specifically says there's nothing in any of the trash cans.
Right. And then she notices, okay, so we kind of walked through this before, like they're in the car, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of skip forward, but she notices at the second dumpster where he, quote unquote, threw away the cups is the truck. And she looks and sees that it had recently been running because there was like oil stains coming out of it, or like exhaust,
Yeah.
So that's his actual car.
That's his actual car.
There was no other car.
There was no other car. So then she looks in the school windows and sees a man standing there, which you immediately think back to when, she was having we think dreams as a child of a man standing outside of her window, because she can't see his face in this time either. She can just see him there. And then he starts crawling on the floor, and it's
and like crawls out of frame. You see his boots slithering.
Yeah.
Oh,
By the way, I cannot wait for this to be.
I want to see
my
that
God.
so bad. I want to see
This
that
movie's
happen.
going to be so.
It's gonna be so fucking
Kind of wish
creepy.
Ari Aster would direct it, but
I'm
want
so
to see
grateful
it.
he's not. God.
I want to see that scene, and I also really don't want to see that scene because I'm getting goosebumps talking
I
about it.
can't fucking wait, man. I can't wait. And then when she goes into his office, like the little janitor closet or whatever, she says she sees that the fucking closet where it's all eventually going to end very soon.
Yeah.
And she specifically says it looks like a coffin. Mm-hmm. Again, there's so much foreshadowing.
Yeah, that you just don't see.
remind me of the videotapes. What was
So it's like a camcorder.
What was
Yeah.
on the camcorder?
So it was like a security footage of, like, I think it was of the car, right? It was of the car outside. The girlfriend sees a couple of pictures taped on the wall She says, in one of the photos taped to the wall is a man and a woman, a couple, maybe brother or sister, or brother and sister. They look alike. The man is old, he's tall, he's much taller than the woman. He has straight gray hair. Both have long faces. Neither is smiling, neither looks happy or sad. They're stiff, expressionless. It's an odd photo to display on a wall. Someone's parents? A few of the other photos are of a man. He doesn't seem aware that his picture is being taken, or if he does, he's reluctant. The top of his head isn't in the photo, much like the man that stands out of her window.
Yeah.
At one, he's sitting at his desk, and it could be his desk. He's leaning away and covering his face with his left hand. The quality isn't very good. And then it just goes on to kind of talk about her freaking out. But okay, so she finds a camera on the desk. Let's see here. She flicks it on. I recognize the wall, the photos, the desk. The shot moves down now, lower to the floor. The image starts moving, leaves out the door, travels along the hall. I can hear the slow steps of the person filming, steps like rubber boots on the tile floor. The pace is methodical, deliberate. The camera enters a large room, what appears to be the school's library. It moves purposefully straight ahead through rows of communal desks, stacks, and shelves of books. There are windows at the back. They are long with floor-to-ceiling horizontal blinds. The camera stops, it stays very still, and continues recording. A hand or something, just out of frame, moves one of the blinds slowly to the left. The camera moves up and looks through a window. Outside is a truck. That's the old pickup out back. The shot zooms in on the truck. It draws in closer, shakier. The quality zoomed in like this isn't great. There's someone in the truck, sitting in the driver's seat. It almost looks like Jake. Is that Jake? No, it can't be, but it really looks like. And then the video just abruptly ends.
What does that mean? If Jake is the guy holding the camera, who's in the truck?
Bear with me. What if Jake? Okay, so if we're going,
or somebody else took the video. If Jake was actually Doug or whoever was actually sitting in
Doug took the video. What if Jake? All right, so you have the mom. She has split personality disorder. We can assume that she abused or molested Doug.
Right.
She had a different persona named Mr. Veal.
Miss Veal.
Miss Veal.
Mrs. Veal, yeah.
Possibly.
Possibly. We think Mrs. Veal is a persona.
So, with that being said, what if Doug saw this teenager in a pickup truck out back and assaulted him? And then he feels so guilty about it. That's why he's ending his life. But he makes the victim a persona called Jake. Because Jake's like the cool kid in school. He's the jock. He's there at night by himself. The Doug goes out, gets a hold of him. Something happens. Maybe something happened to Jake. Maybe he had to dispose of Jake. That's why he hid the truck in the back of the school next to the dumpster.
So maybe he's kind of the abuse has had circled back.
But he's killing himself because he doesn't want to become his mother.
Right.
And he already is. So he's doing away with it, which means that the janitor in the darkness in the school is that persona that comes to life wants to assault children.
Didn't Jake have a brother? It was barely mentioned, just in passing.
I wonder if
I feel like he said he did, but we feel like maybe he was just describing himself.
Sure. That's mostly what I got. But the video thing is the one, again, it's all confusing. Good job, author. But the video is one of the spots, because I had the same read. He's just describing himself and he's in his own head. But what if he does have a brother and it's the one good egg of the family that lives far away and he's maybe heard that shit's going weird. So he just came by to check Jake or Doug's or whatever's stomping grounds, and he's like, "Fuck, he's here!" And then maybe that sends him into a spiral.
Yeah,
or maybe the brother never finds him.
Or Doug did something to Jake's brother.
Yeah,
and Jake shows up wanting answers.
Yeah, or maybe Doug is the janitor who is the brother of Jake, who's sort of the main narrator guy.
Ian, please get on Skype.
It's so confusing and yet so beautifully done.
Okay, I'm going to try not to read from this book. I'm just going to read this one more passage if that's okay, because I think it's super... So it says, we can't go back upstairs again. We can't. We tried. We really tried. We did our best. How long can we suffer? We sit here. We've been sitting here. Of course we're uncomfortable. We have to be. I knew it. I know it. I said it myself. I'm going to say something that will upset you now. I know what you look like. I know your feet and hands and your skin. I know your head and your hair and your heart. You shouldn't bite your nails. And then it says, I know I shouldn't. I know that. We're sorry. So I think that is definitely like the breakdown point. And like his personalities clashing together because he stops using I, possessive, and starts using we, plural.
Like he's managing all the different personas somehow. Yeah. So there's still a weird rationality to it, even though it's kind of dawning to the reader and possibly the character that we're all this one guy.
Yeah.
You know, like he's still kind of in a weird way fighting it, I guess.
Well, and so that you shouldn't bite your nails, that last little passage, that was the very last voicemail that was left on her phone.
Yeah.
Fuck, that's significant too, because that's one of the last thoughts he has about her too.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know. To kind of wrap up a little, I mean, like we're getting near the time here, but man, this book is obviously psychologically astounding, you know, in a lot of ways, and it is really, really dark, and it is creepy, and it's got, which to me, those are exciting things. So, like, I don't mean that in a bad way. I think it's very, very fun.
I can't wait to pick up Foe, his other book, and read that one.
It's in the mail.
He has other as well.
Yeah, he has a few others, but Foe I ordered immediately after reading this book, so it's in the mail. I'll let you guys know what it is.
Check out Iain Reid. I'm thinking of ending things. Absolutely.
And also, if you did read the book, if you have read it prior to listening to this podcast, and you have theories, or you think there's something we're missing and we didn't think of, we would love to hear your theories about it too.
And I think what I'll do is when this episode drops, I will just post on our Beacon House Facebook page and just title the post, "This is the book club discussion post." Comments below, just let people discuss there.
I think that's a great idea.
I think that's an awesome idea because I really want to see what other people that we know personally are thinking about this book.
Well, I learned so much more about it just from listening to you guys talk about it. So I can imagine, exposing it to like a wide audience of people and seeing what they think too.
Well, especially Hunter's take on it about the whole I would have never thought about that on my own.
And after talking about the pictures they found in the basement, that makes a lot more sense. There's definitely an element of some kind of abuse and, Jesus, what a book.
What a book.
What a book.
What a book indeed. Leslie, thank you so much for being here, dear.
Thank you for having me.
We absolutely adore you. You're one of our favorite people, and feel free to come back anytime, talk about anything.
Oh, yeah, Beacon House Book Club.
Yes, absolutely. And Mr. Reid, thank you for writing this book. It is a game changer for sure.
Oh, my God, yeah.
If you're listening.
Work of art. Astonishing work of art you've done there. I mean, phenomenal.
And I can't wait for the Netflix series, and I hope that it's something that you've
I think it's just going to be a movie. I think it's going to be one standalone movie, not a series.
Yeah.
Oh. I would love for it to be a series. Ooh.
We think that would probably just drag it out.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Well, the book reads really fast, and so I'd say the movie's going to go by pretty quick. I think it's going to be an edge of your seat.
I can't wait. It's going to be a nail biter.
Yeah.
I also think it's going to be because the guy who wrote Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind is directing this one, so it's going to be real in your head, just like that movie was.
Yeah. Well, and we encourage everybody too, man. Like get on there and watch it. Give it some spins. I know they track how well movies do, so show this movie a lot of support.
Yeah.
It may not live up to the book because the book is so fucking astounding.
Do movies ever live up to the book?
Not really.
Yeah. Sometimes.
Sometimes. But I would definitely say get in there and support this one because the guy's done a staggering job.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, the first edition of Beacon House Book Club is in the books. And we hope to see you guys next time. If you guys have a suggestion on a book that you would like to hear us read, talk about.
The Troop. You guys have talked it up.
Ooh, dude, I would love to do The Troop.
The Troop?
Next.
I've not heard of that one.
Nick Cutter.
Holy shit.
I've heard Nick Cutter. I've never heard that name before.
Let me just set this up for you real quick.
Oh, man, that might be number 2 there.
It's a Boy Scout crew that is out in this island near Canada, and they're on a scouting trip. Okay. And some dude shows up who's like super thin and just starts eating things like rocks and sticks and just
spiders
and starts eating all this weird stuff, just asking for more and more and more and more and more. And it turns out that he may have a carnivorous parasite that can be passed on fairly easy to everybody else.
Okay.
It's like a Lord of the Flies set. Imagine Lord of the Flies meets like a Hellraiser.
Okay.
The turtle scene.
Oh.
Good luck getting through the turtle scene. If the janitor thing bothered you so much, I had to stop reading the turtle scene twice and just be like, I'll pick that up, and I'll pick that up tomorrow.
Let's play this out, and then we'll talk about some more. So anyway, guys, thanks a lot for joining us. Again, Leslie, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Please come back anytime.
I will.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Please check out this book. Do it.
Oh, my.